When we talk about leadership, it is quite difficult to do so without some sort of a moral framework as a foundation. In other words, it is really clear that there are effective leaders who have gotten horrific things done. Hitler, who have mobilized people towards a horrific goal of of ridding Germany of Jews, for example. So it is immediately clear to all of us that there have been bad kings, there have been bad leaders of all kinds. And therefore, a crucial question is, what are the means by which we should use to get things done? And also, what are worthy aims? So, ends and the means. And it seems to me that being a Christian or having some sort of a religious framework of any kind really helps you on moral questions. And I'm reminded of, for example, the 1990 book, Three Rival Versions of Moral Inquiry by Alistair McIntyre. And what he says is that when you are doing moral reasoning, you have some assumption, some presupposition that is a given, that you start with. And even if you're not religious, and you will have to kind of dig deeper and ask yourself, well, why do I think this is the right thing to do? And you will come down eventually to some moral principle or something like that. The good thing about having a tradition of moral inquiry, a religion, is that there is a body of history on how to work your way back to first principles, about how to work through those principles in community and apply them, that sort of thing. All of that to say, it is quite difficult to teach business leadership or business ethics without any framework. Similarly, it's hard to teach medical ethics or medical leadership without any moral framework, because you're always running into the epistemological, philosophical questions of, well, why not do this more expedient thing to get this done? Why go for that purpose rather than this? So in a business, why isn't the greatest good just making the most money? And why isn't the legal, whether something's legal, being the floor of what we can do ethically? Can we do anything that's legal? And then it becomes, can we do anything that we won't get caught? Anyway, those sort of things are really difficult. They actually interfere with the kind of practical later, how do we lead? How do we help a group of people get something done? Because you keep running into these almost unsolvable moral questions in a kind of pluralistic environment where we don't have some common ground on what is appropriate in terms of the ethics in this situation. So all that to say, if you are a Christian, like a third of the world, or if you're Muslim, like about another third of the world, you may have a better way of proceeding forward. You have some people in that tradition who will help you think through how to make decisions. And you're not just kind of winging it. You're not just improvising the whole time, making it up as you go along. All right. So I think Christians I'm a practicing Christian. I think Christians have an advantage where we do a lot in our lives, personal lives, in our corporate lives, as churches, in church communities, to think through moral questions. The ends, what are the proper ends? What are the proper means? And so we are able then in leadership courses to really talk about what it means for an individual to work with a group to get something done. And I feel like we're not distracted or weighed down by these niggling philosophical issues that get in the way in a lot of cases. So be encouraged by that. I think that's something positive. But again, I think many people do get frustrated because they feel like leadership literature is quite confused. They feel like it's not rigorous. And so like, the business books in the airport bookstore that, a CEO says, this is how to lead, or this is what I found works, or some consultant who people make fun of because they, kind of drop in, they're highly educated and they're paid super well and they give a bunch of solutions, they give a bunch of advice. But you wonder whether that's long lasting. Whether that's really wise advice that those consultants are giving, or what you're reading in these business books, and you say, I don't think that really applies, or I don't buy it. Well, I think you have some good reason to be skeptical about that, because there is often an incoherence to it. So I'll just stop there. But I do think that it's if you've been bothered by the whole topic of leadership, that you're put off by it, that could be because you rightly have some philosophical questions that some of this is incoherent. Somebody's sort of blowing smoke. They are not being forthright about what's really going on.